Today I ranked 2026 best cars across the industry from small, medium, large size luxury vehicles and sports cars alike, based on iSeeCars.com, who put together this collection of 330 million vehicles across the industry and how they all rank when we're talking safety, longevity, durability, as well as depreciation are all very important factors to give us an overall out of 10 score. And in many cases, I don't totally agree with this. Stick around, let's get into it now. Life's too short to drive boring cars. The first one's the small cars. And with that, we have a Mazda 3 in third spot at 8.7. And here we have a Mazda 3 hatchback at 8.7. And I would agree with those. If anything, they should maybe even be higher. And see, that's not totally agreement, because number one is the Honda Civic hatchback. And we all know what's been going on with Honda. Their base 2 liters have been a great engine, but a lot of these 1.5s that they've utilized over the years have seen issues with head gasket failures, of oil and fuel dilution. I can't totally go there. Now, Honda Civics have always been a pretty reliable car, but Mazda's come long ways. And I would honestly argue that Mazda, from my experience, friends of mine and family who own some of these modern day Mazdas are experiencing reliability second to really none. But that being said, good choice. The next one, of course, is the best luxury small cars. Where number 3 is the Mercedes-Benz C-Class. I've got a C-Class. It shouldn't even be on this list in my own personal interpretation. You know, with the luxury small cars, there's a lot of products from not just Lexus, even BMW, I would say arguably is easily more reliable than Mercedes. So I don't even see how it ranks at 8.3, a Lexus IS 300 at 8.4. You can't get those in 26, by the way, but that's residual from last year. And the Lexus IS 350 is ranked number 1 at 8.4 out of 10. I would agree with that because the Lexus IS 350 has a 3.5 liter V6, super reliable. They've got port and direct fuel injection, means you don't get the carbon problems. You don't have really any issues. The transmissions are durable. The electronics work every time, and the engines are been around a long time. So I would say, yes, I would agree with the number 1 slot. The other one's flip-flop. The next one in line is the best mid-size cars. The third in this line would be the Hyundai Sonata at 8.1 out of 10. Not sure I would totally agree with that, but hey, the Toyota Camry is number 2 spot at 8.1 out of 10. And the number 1 spot is the Honda Accord at 8.7 out of 10. Now, some of its reliability, if you're going straight reliability, the Camry wins. But remember, this also includes features, durability. It also includes, the staying power and the value retention in the market. And I would say, honestly, the Hondas seem to be doing really, really well. So that's likely where we're starting to see some of the improvements and enhancements for the value of a Honda over a Toyota. But that being said, I would still pick a Camry over that. Going beyond that, I wouldn't pick any of those because I prefer the luxury cars. So the best luxury midsize cars, number 3 spot, the ES 250 is a 7.9 out of 10. I'm not sure how that fits even third slot when you look at what's number 1, and we'll get to that in a second. Number 2 is the ES 350. I would agree with that, 7.9 out of 10. Honestly, you could probably even almost slot that even slightly above. And number 1 for overall ranking is a Mercedes-Benz E-Class at 8 out of 10. Now, the E-Class is where Mercedes starts, and I like the E-Class. I like them a lot. But there's no way you can possibly say for safety, durability, longevity, and value retention that an E-Class comes even close to a Lexus ES 350. Sure, it gives a slightly better driving experience, and that's where they gain some of their space and their brownie points. But in most cases, Mercedes-Benz really, other than the drive, every other aspect goes to the Lexus products. And any of those older Lexus ES 350, which, by the way, this year in 26, they're getting shifted into something that's more based on that hybrid platform or electric platform. So it's a new redesigned car this year. But that being said, I would likely place a Lexus ES above an E-Class Mercedes. The next one is the best large cars. We have the Nissan Maxima number 3 at 7.4 out of 10. We have the Dodge Charger at 7.7. Why? How did the Charger even make this list is beyond me. And the number 1 spot is the Toyota Avalon at 8.2 out of 10. And I can agree with that. The Avalon is sleepy, hollow. It's sort of the gray-haired special. It's not exactly the most exciting product from Toyota or Lexus, But honestly, I would, you know what? I mean, I have a few other cars in mind, but I'm not going to argue with that one. That's probably pretty solid. It's a little drab, a little boring, but the Toyota Avalon is bang on for reliability. The next one is the best luxury large cars. This one here, definitely, I agree with number one. Wholeheartedly, that's my number one. I would agree with that. But before we get to that, number three spot is Porsche Panamera at 7.6 out of 10, according to iSeeCars.com. Mercedes-Benz S-Class at 7.8 out of 10. Okay, that's disputable, but you know what? Based on what we're seeing here, it definitely falls behind the likes of number one slot, the Lexus LS 500, which is parked at 7.8 out of 10. Now, we also noticed that LS 500 has that same 3.4 liter twin turbo V6 that we're hearing so much negative press about with the GX 550, with the LX 600, and with the Toyota Tundra. But it squeaks through and it doesn't seem to have a whole lot of issues. And I love the LS 500. It's a beautiful, gorgeous car, and it's sad. It'll be sadly missed because there's one production year run. 26, they're going to end production of that. So get them while they're hot. There's a special edition coming out, which I'm going to feature in a later video. Definitely one that you're going to have to look at. Now, the best sports cars, according to iSeeCars.com, Subaru BRZ at 8.2 out of 10. I wouldn't disagree with that. The BRZ and the GR86 by Toyota is basically the same product. Both great choices. And you could flip-flop. They're basically both a flat four with a manually operated stick shift. And so I love them. They're great, they're honest, and they're affordable. Ford Mustang Coupe at 8.5 out of 10 gets sort of the second slot for best sports cars. I would sort of debate that, and I'll tell you why in a second. And the number one slot for best sports cars, and I would agree with this, the Mazda MX-5 Miata at 8.7 out of 10. It's reliable, it's fun, it's true and honest, and honestly, yes, it's in need of a little bit of a makeover, but it's a great car. For his number two slot, I would probably put in a Toyota Supra, to be honest, ahead of the Mustang. But hey, the Mustang's good, honest, fun. You can still get it with a manual gearbox. That's a lot of fun too. And if you get the GT or the Dark Horse with the V8, I love those. So great choices, but you know what? That's my personal preference. Next would be the best luxury sports cars, okay? This is I love this space. I love this genre. Specifically, the number three spot goes to a convertible Porsche 911, which is a 9.1 out of 10. Now, of virtually every sports car, the 911 holds the best value. There's nothing that will touch a 911 in terms of overall value retention. So that takes us to the number two slot, which is the 911 Coupe at a 9.2 out of 10, according to iSeeCars.com. Same drivetrains, but the Coupe provides a little bit better value retention, hence it's slightly ranked a bit higher. And this one, well, you could debate all day long. If you had $120,000, $130,000, where would you put your money? A Porsche 911 or a Z06 Corvette? Please do drop that line. I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comments, but the number one slot goes to the Corvette, Chevy Corvette at 9.5 out of 10. Now, is it safe? It's better. The first couple of years, there was a few problems. Transmission, there was leaks, there was issues with quality and paint control issues. You know it. But they've gotten vastly better, very popular, and honestly, a Corvette's just so easy to love, especially in this new latest C8 Corvette format. I love them. I've driven many of the different variants, and I love this new Corvette. That being said, because it ranks number one on this list of IC cars, I wouldn't dispute that. I think bang for buck and value retention, it's better than the 911. That said, if you're talking just on depreciation, I would say probably 911 is better. That said, for cost of maintenance and servicing, the Corvette pushes ahead of the Porsche 911. Porsches are not cheap cars to look after, more expensive to insure, to fix, to service, and honestly, you're paying to play. The next one, of course, is the best convertibles. Well, we all like convertibles right here and just in the nick of time for the season, and IC Cars puts the Ford Mustang convertible at a 7.3 out of 10. Okay, sure, that sounds good. The Mini convertible at 7.9 out of 10. Sure, that's a BMW product. And the Mazda MX-5 Miata scores an 8.7 out of 10 because it's such an honest, easy car to own. It's cheap to service, cheap oil changes, small brakes, cheap tires. It's just too easy to love. And so from a convertible standpoint, I would agree with that 100%. Best luxury convertibles is the next one. The number three spot is Audi S5 as a convertible, 7.8 out of 10. And second is Chevy Corvette with an 8.6, and the Porsche 911 Convertible is a 9.1. I would agree with that. Best wagons, next section is the Mini Clubman. No ranking. The Kia Soul, 7.5 out of 10. And the Subaru Impreza gets an 8.0 out of 10. You know what? Wagons aren't really that popular these days. I would almost debate that. You know what? If we're really going out there, how about the RS6 Avant? Totally different class, totally different type of vehicle. But that's my personal favorite of new models. The next one is the best luxury wagons, which I think I got ahead of myself. The Volvo V60 is a 7.6 out of 10. The Porsche Panamera is 7.9 out of 10. And a Porsche Mercedes-Benz E-Class gets an 8.2 out of 10. And again, I would probably go with that, or the RS6 Avant, again by Audi, would probably be honestly my number one. That's probably where I would slot in and push Mercedes down. And honestly, I probably wouldn't see V60 Volvo on that list, but the Volvo V60 is a beautiful car. I love the looks of it, and it's kind of unique. It does look like a sporty, spicy little hot rod. And honestly, it's one that does get overlooked, so I wouldn't write it off, but this is in some tall company here. That's all I'm saying. The next one is the best coupes. Number 3 is the Dodge Charger at 7.9, the Subaru BRZ at 8.2, and again, the Toyota GR86, very much the same thing, so you could include that, and the Ford Mustang at 8.5 out of 10. Sure, go with that. You could debate that. There's a lot of great products out there on the market. Honestly, I would even go with a Nissan Z car over probably a Ford Mustang at this point. I like the Z car, especially Nismo now, and this year you can get yourself a manual gearbox. I think that thing's a great unit. The best luxury coupes, A5 in coupe format, 8.0. Porsche 911 Coupe, 9.2 out of 10. And according to iccars.com, the Chevy Corvette gets a 9.5 out of 10. So some great company, some great cars. And again, I can't argue with that. The Corvette's a great choice. The 911's a great choice too. You could flip a coin and you make a decision. But it just does represent a bit better bang for buck in the Corvette world, especially when you step into the Z06. Maybe not as much in the base Stingray, but you get into the Z06, now you've got that serious performance flat plane crank 5.5 V8 dual clutch gearbox. Boy, that 911's got a lot of hefty competition in that Corvette, especially in Z06 format. So I would agree with that. Now the best hatchbacks, how about the Volkswagen Golf? 8.4 out of 10. 8.4 out of 10, sure. I like the GTI. I like the Golf R. Those are fun, spicy little hatchbacks. Those would be my preferences. Next in line, number 2. And again, I don't agree. I would actually personally flip number 2 with number 1. But IC Cars says number 2 goes to the Mazda 3 hatchback at 8.7 out of 10. And the number 1 slots gets the Honda Civic hatchback at a 9.0. Again, I would probably put the Mazda 3 over the Honda Civic, but we all know the Hondas have been selling. They sell themselves. They're like Toyotas. The reputation's there. They've been around a long time, and they're easy to love. I mean, Honda, you still can't really go too wrong, but those 1.5s are not good engines. So I would probably steer, to look at their other drivetrains. CVT's not amazing either. Anywhere you can get the base 2-liter or, some of their hotter engines, of course, more specifically, even get something that's manual and avoid the CVT altogether, that's where I would go with the Civic. You know what? The best luxury hatchbacks, Audi S5 is an 8.0 and an Audi A5 Coupe, they call it, 8.0. I guess it's sort of a hatchback of sorts, but anyway, moving on. The best subcompact cars. Now, this is interesting. In a time where people are worried about the cost of fuel and saving money, it's important. A lot of people are saying, you know what, I'm skipping on all these expensive cars. I'm just going to go with some of the simple cars. And honestly, I've had a lot of people reach out to me and say, Mark, I got my Mustang, I've got a Corvette in the garage, they're fun Sunday toys, but I need something cheap to daily. The cheap daily car, these are the best subcompacts. So these little, small, diminutive little cars that are hard to argue with. They're cheap to buy, cheap to maintain, and cheap on fuel. Number 3 spot is the Mini Hardtop 4-door at 7.8. Probably not as cheap to maintain because they're a BMW product. The later versions now, by the way, the Cooper S actually has the B48. So if you're worried about the reliability of the older Coopers, you don't worry less, because since about 2014, they introduced the B48 in the Cooper S, and you could get all of the better engines that BMW is offering, as well as A dual clutch gearbox was now available. Of course, they were just a better car from 2014, 2015 and up is really where you want to get in. But the latest shows that they rank at number 3. Kia Rio is 5 doors at 7.9. Yeah, I'd probably dodge away. You've all been hearing about the fires and the catastrophes and some of those engine issues, of course, with rod knock and shutting down and roadside fires. I've had plenty of videos to show some of that, but I'm not here to talk about it. Some people love them. They're cute. The styling is quite interesting. So honestly, the Theta 2 engine, I know it's a thing of the past and things are moving on and times change. They have improved, but it's still not a car that I would necessarily entrust. But the number 1 is the Chevy Spark at a 7.9. Hey, I see cars comes up with these lists. I don't make them. I mean, there's Versa Notes and all those cute little cars too. I'm not sure I would get on board with those. I'd probably just go with the Mini in this loop. This group here would probably be my first choice because you can have fun. It handles like it's on rails. It's cheap on gas, and the latest generation of BMW drivetrains means it's reasonably reliable. So you can't really argue with that. But the best luxury subcompact cars, here we are. Number 3 is the Audi RS3. You know what? For me, this is probably my number 1. I love the RS3 infinitely with that turbocharged 5-cylinder engine that produces about 400 horse. You know, it comes with their double clutch gearbox in that car. I mean, for a while you could also get a manual, but you know, it's a great car. It's fast. It sounds like a mini Lamborghini. I love these cars. They have, you know, 4 doors, a trunk, enough seating space. Well, it's a squeeze to call it 5, but really it's a 4-seater. But it's a great little car. And they put that number 3. I would put this number 1. But the other two, number 2 slot is the Mercedes-Benz CLA at 7.6 out of 10. I would probably agree with that. CLA, again, price point for Mercedes. Mercedes, from what I've seen and their quality control, has been a little bit shaky in the last few years from my own personal experience. Based on my 2018 Mercedes C-Class that I run, we've had quite a few quality issues. I mean, it runs, it's reliable, it starts every day, but some weird codes, some weird check engine lights, squeaks and rattles. It feels like it's a little bit fragile. So the CLA is going to be very much in line with that, but its price point, it's a little bit cheaper, and they're fun to drive. I like the way they look too. Number 1, you know, I See Cars basically says the BMW 2 Series Coupe. And I would probably easily, that's a really, really close one for me. I wouldn't really dispute this one too hard because it is a flip of a coin between the RS3 and a 2 Series like the M240, or even better, the M2 or M2 CS, or any of those absolute beasts. They're beautiful, rear-wheel drive, fast and furious. And honestly, an M2 or an M240 is a great car. Of course, the 230 is kind of a fun car too with the smaller engines, but they're all great. And that ranks up at that 7.9. So you could kind of flip a hat. My personal favorite's the Audi RS3, but I love those BMW 2 Series. That's truly one of my favorite cars right now in the subcompact luxury segment. The next one, of course, is the best compact cars, which is number 3 goes to Mazda 3 sedan at 8.7 for a compact. And then number 2 slots, 8.7 with the Mazda 3 hatchback with the 2.5-liter 4-cylinder. Great car. Automatic 6-speed manual or 6-speed auto, depends if it's a front-wheel drive. You can get a manual. If it's all-wheel drive, you've got to go with the automatic, or the turbo, the GTs, you got to go with the automatic as well. But they're great cars. I love those cars. And the number 1 goes to the Honda Civic hatchback at 9.0 out of 10. Again, I would probably flip that script. Honda's a great car. The Corolla, you notice how the Corollas aren't fitting in these anywhere because they're a little bland. And these I do agree with. I do believe these place higher. Corolla is going to be a reliable car. It's going to hold pretty good value. And they're hard not to love. They're just easy to own and easy to love. But they just feel a little stripped out. And these cars just feel a little bit more dressy. When you get in the Mazda, it feels like a little better quality in the interior. It's a little more fun to drive. And for that reason, I would lean towards the Mazdas and then the Honda second. The next one, of course, is best luxury compact cars. I See Cars basically says the best IS or the IS. See, I'm like blowing my cover here already, guys. I've screwed up, blown it proportionally. The best one is the IS 350 at 8.4 out of 10. I cut right to the chase. I messed up royally. And I agree with that. The best cars that you're going to get On the smaller side of things in the Lexus lineup for sure is the IS, because it still has a naturally aspirated V6, torque converter automatic. It's rear wheel drive, has all the local latest amenities. I love the IS 350. It's a true gem. And this year in 26, of course, it's gone through a facelift. And I've spoken about that in other videos, which I'll share the link at the end, of course. But that said, they're hard not to love. Number 2 slot in this case goes to the IS 300, which they don't make anymore, or the IS 500. They finished that production in 2025. But that said, yeah, I wouldn't disagree. It's a great car. It's the same platform, just a smaller detuned engine or turbo 4s. And of course, number 3 slot for the best luxury compact cars is the Mercedes C-Class at 8.3. Again, I could come up with a few options that are probably better. Best compact luxury compact cars? No. In my personal, what I've experienced, BMW, here's where I rank this. I punt that Mercedes C-Class off that list, and you're going to probably see the Mercedes, or the BMW 3 Series. It would be the 330i with the X-Drive that gives you 255 horse, mild hybrid, and it's a true gem. Those engines are a lot better than they used to be. Or even better, the M340 with the B58. We all know about the improvements and enhancements BMW's brought to the table. Hey, Toyota's even using those in their Supra. You know they've got to be good, right? So that being said, the best luxury compact cars, that would be my choice. The Lexus IS 350, the IS 300, and a BMW 3 Series. That would be my choice. And the Mercedes C-Class, you could flip a coin between that and an Audi A4. I feel like they're very similar. I think the Mercedes-Benz has a nicer style, nicer ergonomics, nicer tech. The Audi, their infotainment, or the MMI system's a little nicer. The interior quality feels a little better put together, even though it's a little more plain. It has a better all-wheel drive system as well. But again, I would flip a coin between an Audi A4 and, of course, the Mercedes-Benz C-Class, which we own, and I'm just speaking from examples and experience. Now, the best two-seater cars. Here we go. The Mazda MX-5 Mazda RF, great choice. The Nissan Z, yes, I agree, especially the Nismo now with the stick shift, get that one. And the MX-5 Miata is an 8.7 out of 10, makes you number 1 slot. Hey, two-seater cars, you know what? I've got one better. How about the Ferrari 296 GTB? Okay, a bit of a price difference, but let's be honest. Okay, maybe it doesn't qualify. It has a big depreciation, but for fun factor, it absolutely dominates over all of these. And wait a minute, reliability probably not as good either. Okay, forget that noise. Yes, the Miata is the number 1 for that slot. The best luxury two-seater cars. Number 3, 8.6 goes to the Corvette, the Porsche 911 Coupe at 9.2. And with all of that said, as promised, check out that video right there. I talked about why is everybody buying that BMW M340. There's something of special about it. Yes, I'm going to share that with you. And as well, that right there, that's the gem over in Lexus land. You're definitely going to want to see that. Hope to see each and every one of you real soon, everybody. You have a lovely day. Talk to you then. Bye-bye.